Good morning, everybody. It's just Colleen and I today. So, hi, Colleen.
Good morning.
And we are here actually for our yearly episode where we talk about our Next Step Reiki program, as well as our Explore the 12 Heavens program, and the deeper levels underneath both of those yearly courses that we teach. The registration opens on November 20th. We have a free webinar that we are hosting, and this year it's going to be Reiki for Past Life Healing. So you're welcome to attend that webinar, even if you can't or don't have plans to take Next Step Reiki. There's still going to be a healing journey around it. There's always information. We like to make those resource rich. And that is on November 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific. And of course, we will have the registration details in we'll have them all over. You can find them anywhere, I'm sure, but we'll definitely have them in the description of this episode. So, um, anyway, Colleen, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to that part of it before we get into the meat of this episode.
Nope,
Okay.
I don't.
Last year when we did this episode, we always have kind of a loose outline of what we're going to talk about, but it went a bit deeper than what we expected, just because we love talking about these subjects in general. It's not just about our courses. It's, of course, what we go into in our courses, what we learn about our courses, or what we learn about in the courses, which has a deeper meaning outside of them. So our next step Reiki is 3 levels, and it's level 1, level 2, level 3, and each level is a year-long course. And we do those classes live monthly. You don't have to be able to attend live. If you need to watch it later, we do great recordings, and you can certainly do it self-study too. We have people that do that as well. So, and then the Explore the 12 Heavens is in the same format. It is a different course. We'll talk about all of it, but it is a live monthly class. And then we have 4 quarterly Q&As, which we love, the students love, because we get to talk about all sorts of subjects. And whether it's about the courses or whether it's about other Reiki subjects, it is always a really fun thing too. So it's 3.5-hour classes, and you get to learn about subjects. Spend time with Colleen and I, and then your classmates who you do get to know over the course of these classes. And I'm on a really deep level because that is one of the things that we were really talking about, and we have been talking about, not just in these courses, but just also in like our distance Reiki share in the podcast, is just the power of community, having safe spaces to talk about these subjects when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to deep healing. We have space to share about some of the deep things that are transforming in our life or transpiring in our life. And we really get to um, have that place where we relate to people on a deep level, which is a really beautiful process. We get to kind of be friends, get to know each other, all of those kinds of things. That is a really big part of this course.
Well, let's go ahead and get into it. Um, one of the reasons that we started all of these courses, actually, Robin and I thought that we were going to be teaching courses on how to officiate Reiki ceremonies. And the energy came in and said, actually, what you are going to teach is our tools and techniques that are beyond the basics of Reiki. And Robin used to always say that, people want to know, well, I've taken Reiki classes and now what? So what we know is that Reiki energy will literally help you access levels of consciousness that are difficult to access in ordinary life. And so what happens with the courses is not only do you get the practice time and the development and the training in the class itself, but the energy and the way the Reiki energy works is that, for instance, we are teaching the Reiki journey techniques. Well, those techniques specifically will activate your higher consciousness, because Reiki energy is already a higher consciousness, and it will entrain you to those higher levels of thought and higher levels of your mind. And so not only do you experience the effects of a Reiki journey during the class and during the actual journeys, you receive the training so that you are skilled with it on your own, but it also affects your daily life. And so it does take Reiki into that next level of a very practical use. So, for the people who are interested on a personal level of your own personal growth, or perhaps you're spiritually curious and you just want to know what possibilities there are of accessing different levels of consciousness. What are they even? What does that even mean? And then also being able to access different levels of spiritual realms. So, for instance, in the Explore the 12 Heavens class, we actually explore the spiritual realms of the 12 heavens and the consciousness of those spiritual realms, how they affect you personally, and then also what they are around you in your everyday life and on the earth, and then what they are, what I think of as in the infinite realms out beyond the earth level. And so the Reiki journey techniques teach you how to access those. They also teach you, once you've accessed it, how does that energy and that access benefit you daily? How does it make a difference in your life for your ability to hear yourself, your ability to listen in the world around you, your decision making, your priorities? It actually moves Reiki into moving the spiritual into the material, and the material into the spiritual, because they're all happening at the same time. And then how do you get access to them? So, as Robin talked about, the next step classes, those are very in-depth classes and very in-depth training in your ability to use Reiki journey techniques to observe what Reiki is doing in sessions, what it's doing in your daily life, when it's self Reiki or Reiki on others or Reiki on animals or Reiki on the tree. How do you gain that deeper connection of consciousness that exists in everything? And so those classes are three, as Robin said, they're three one-year classes that meet monthly and then also quarterly. And then the 12 Heavens class also meets monthly and also quarterly. So each one has its own purpose. Mainly, they all give you deeper access to yourself and the higher frequencies and levels of consciousness around you.
So, I actually want to go back a little bit to what you were saying about how these classes started, because that's a whole, actually, more in depth story. I won't tell the whole thing here, but the Cliffs Notes of it is, when I started working with Colleen on a full time professional basis, I've grown up in these ways. I knew I've had soul retrievals, I've had sessions with Colleen, and I know how to journey for myself. I've had Reiki for a long time, and I know, knew how to do sessions for other people in the kind of, traditional Reiki sessions, which is nice because I didn't have to have the additional training to just move through the hand positions and channel Reiki. And that's one of the best parts about it, right? It's very straightforward and can be so simple. And I like that piece of it. But Colleen, having had sessions with her basically my whole life, had a unique session style where she was combining Reiki energy and her shamanic training and very extensive shamanic training. And when I became a professional, I was like, well, I want to learn how to do sessions like you. I want to be able to have these skills where you are able to channel out loud the impressions that the Reiki session is giving you, the impressions that you are receiving through the different ways that you are channeling out loud in a session. So the different things that can show up for that are past lives, ancestral history, cords and connectors, spirit attachments, um, trauma from this life, culturally created selves. I mean, that's just a very small list of the amount of things that can come up in a Reiki session and the way that she would be able to do this. And so I'm like, in that time frame, and still always, I am under a pretty big level of mentorship from Colleen in my daily training in Reiki business and Reiki sessions and Reiki energy. I mean, all of the different things. I'm really fortunate around that aspect. So I asked her, I was like, I want to learn how to do this. Teach me how you do this. And so we were starting and she said, well, one of the first questions, well, I started out on listening. That was one of the first things when I started working with her, thank God. And that is something that we learn in level 1, by the way, because it's super, super important. And we were kind of starting one day, or we were in a session or talking about it. I forget about it. I forget exactly how it came up, but she was like, well, what do you call God? And I was like, "What?" I have had a lot of religious wounding in my life, in my youth, I should say. Um, Honestly, I don't think at that point I don't know if Holy Fire 3 was out yet that also really helped with a lot of the religious wounding. So at the time, I had a lot of attachment and a lot of baggage to that question because I didn't know. I didn't know how I perceived God, if I even believed in God. I had been agnostic for a number of years through college. And I was like, meltdown ensued. Long story short, meltdown ensued. I'm like, how do I have to answer that question in order to be able to do this? And she's like, "Well, you don't, but you have to also have this relationship with the energy, or you come to that place where you have this relationship with that question. And even if you still don't have what you call God, you could call God a biofield and only believe in the fact that there isn't this higher source of consciousness, but that we have this key or this biofield of this Schumann resonance that resides within and all around all living things, right?" And so what happened through that process with that is that there was, I think, the greater point to that question on why Colleen asked me this is a level of inner knowing, a level of trust, and a level of discovery. And as she said, when we first started these classes, we thought that we were going to be doing how to do ceremony. But it was through those 2 questions. How do I do sessions like you? And and then what do you call God in my subsequent meltdown? That was totally ridiculous at the time, but also a very
Very
deep
real.
it was real. It was a very deep
Yeah.
wounding that led me down a certain path that I had to navigate. It was a channeled question because it's not the question that everybody needs to know in order to embark on this skill training. It was a channeled question for me specifically. And because of those two things, it led us on this path of let's start teaching classes on how we can learn these skills to be able to do sessions like Colleen does, and at the same time answer those questions. How do I traverse this path to answer those big questions? How do I learn skills to to do to do that? First of all, personally for me, first and foremost. And then second most because I was interested in that aspect of learning to do sessions like that. And between those two things, that's kind of where Next Step was born. There was another level to this when we came to Pat after that first year, the first class where we met in person at Colleen's house. Then we started teaching online another cohort that was also a very compelling aspect to that, and another story that we may or may not get into. But then we started teaching online on Zoom on the Next Step classes to people all over the country and actually the world, because we had a couple of different students from other countries too. And so I just wanted to include that because we do have people that are in these classes for professional reasons, right? They do want to learn session styles like this that are these advanced session techniques that we all learn how to do through the 3 years of Next Step, that you and I and other people that have gone through Next Step now do as a part of their session style. But then it's this other aspect of this really big, deep personal exploration of these questions like, what do you call God? These questions of what does your intuition look like? Your inner truth look like? What does that path for you look like? And what are the tools that you can use in order to explore that? Because we can ask ourselves those questions, but how do we use Reiki energy, which is, like you said, that heightened consciousness, that heightened level energy? How do we use Reiki to do that? And the tool to be able to explore this, it's not the only tool, it's a tool to be able to explore this is through Reiki journey techniques. Because I could have asked that question 1,000 times over in my waking life, and maybe at a time 1,000, I might have answered that. But I don't think I could reach the answer to that question in my ordinary mind. Like you were saying, I think I need to be able to answer that question through these techniques that help me get outside of this or deeper inside of this physical existence. Um, because we have this culturally created self. I had such a deep culturally created self around that question. How do I heal, first of all, around the religious wounding which has happened? How do I explore outside of that culturally created self? You're exploring on a deeper level, and there's ways to do that. And that was really the deeper question and answer that Colleen and I had in that moment. And I don't know if that question can ever be fully answered, but I can tell you I've had full circle moments to that question where I have released so much of that culturally created self and answered that question on a deeper level, explored that question on a deeper level from the 12th heaven, which we do and explore the 12 heavens, which is source consciousness, to the really inner personal aspects that we do in Next Step Reiki, where we go deep within our inner truth and go past all of that and that healing that happens, and really listen to my own deep inner truth around it. And so I wanted to add that piece of it because it is such an important piece of where these courses originated, what's the kind of backbone of them. And when we've created these courses along the way, we've always listened to the energy. We still listen to the energy before every single class. we're still teaching from that place before every single class. And it's really the energy that has structured these classes.
So, yes, of course, that's true. And I would also say that, as you said, the questions that come through from a practitioner standpoint in the process of using the Reiki energy in this way during a session, which is what we were doing, what happens is the energy of Reiki actually comes through channeled to really even speak the questions that the person needs to ask themselves. Because as Robin said, it's unique for each person. So that would not necessarily be a question that, comes through to ask everyone. Because the other thing that is so important right now at this time in the evolution of humanity, I'm going to take it to the whole big picture
Yeah.
and the evolution is there are questions for us to ask that when we know to ask the question, that's when we can receive the answer. And so that's the other aspect of this training is to take you deeply into your own questions. And then a big piece of it is to discover your own inner authority about the answer. So in this example of what Robin used that started all of this, what do you call God? I'm still asking that question, by the way.
Same.
So it's an
I do not have the
ongoing
answer. There's deeper levels of understanding and my own truth with that. But that means
resistance,
yeah.
It's like all kinds of different things that show up. But how do you get to that place of inner authority? So in this example, I was not saying, hey, Robin, here is how you should think of God, or here is how you need to believe in this. The way the energy works is to, first of all, help you discover your question. And then from your own inner truth, your own inner authority, what the answer is for you. Because every person has a unique perspective. And it's not just about that specific question, because the questions are hopefully uncovering for you in your life. Sometimes they're about the mystery. In these questions, we have the curiosity about spirit and spirituality and the nature and meaning of creation and of the universe, and we get to explore those on our own. But then also the questions that you have for your daily life and how you can marry the two ways of thinking into one. It's a unification. And we often talk, one of the things that we really work with is what we call the perception triad. And that is where your gut brain is activated, your instincts, your inner knowing, that soul's knowledge that you come in with, that cellular, you know, like gut instinct, gut knowing. And then your heart brain, which is your feelings and your love and what you love and how that merges with your gut, and then your head brain, which is your logic and your skills and the different things that are um, analysis, things like that, and then what you know about your daily life. So merging all of those abilities to perceive and think and listen to yourself to discover your truth, your questions, your answers for you. And, part of that, I would say, is also an inner calling that people have that taps you to want to know more about that inside yourself. So through all of it, what we've discovered in ourselves and then the people that are studying at these depths. Is there something inside calling you to remember how to do this? Because these are normal human abilities, normal, like your instincts, your intuition, your imagination, your ability to access higher consciousness. That is all a normal human ability. So then what are the steps to heal the blocks or limitations or resistances or injuries to those abilities? And then to empower what is innately true for you personally. And so how you discover it. And so I think as much as anything too, as Robin was talking about, she wanted to know how I was doing what I was doing, how I did the sessions the way that I did them. Now what I know 25 years later is I had that inner calling. But 25 years ago, there were very few pathways. In my lifetime at 67, there were very few pathways to this kind of remembering a natural way of thinking, of questioning, of hearing, of accessing, my perceptions of the world around me. They were very difficult to find. And so now, and a lot of problems with, as Robin said, religious wounding. Um, and mainly that all came from community and peer groups and family with judgment about these kinds of practices. And again, they're normal human practices. So, in these kinds of practices, I'm going deeper into my spirituality. I am connecting deeply with even the religious beings I grew up with. I was raised Catholic, but it gave me a pathway to my own personal relationship with, for instance, of course, being Catholic, I was raised with Mother Mary and Jesus and Mary Magdalene. The church I went to was St. Mary Magdalene. I was raised with those pathways of spirituality, but then I wanted to find my own way and my own relationship and my own authority and own truth. So, my path led me to shamanism, which was the first tradition that I discovered that taught me how to find that inner truth for myself. Like I wasn't being told what to believe, I was being shown how to discover what I believe, what I know, and to find my own relationships and ways of being. And then what I didn't know was that it was also going to access this next level of my consciousness and my ability to perceive at a deeper level on the earth, my ability to perceive at a deeper level in myself, and my ability to perceive at a deeper level in what I think of as the spiritual realms and what those mean and what even are they. And so that practice, after 3 years of shamanic training, that's when I started in the Reiki training and discovered that I liked the way the Reiki energy and the access of the Reiki energy for this ability to journey, for this ability to access different levels of my consciousness and all the things I just talked about. So I always practiced Reiki with my shamanic techniques, and then it just became a merge of the styles. And so fast forward now to working with Robin, what I was seeing and teaching Reiki classes is that people are having these psychic impressions day one in the Reiki class, Reiki 1 in the morning. They would start having these insights that would show up, and they didn't know how to further develop that ability. And so Now heading towards Robin's story, it all led us to, oh, this is what the energy wants us to teach. And this is revealed through the energy itself and revealed through the way the energy works, which is to go deeper and listen and discover, and then choose, then make decisions about actions. So anyway,
Yeah, it's needed in the space, or it wanted to be in the space might be a better way to say that. Um, and people are called to this training for all different reasons.
yeah,
Some people are called because they are practitioners and want more skill training in it. Some people are called for deeply personal transformation because it does that too. People, when they start, are different people than when they are at the end of the, especially with next step, because we see people over 3 years and you're going into deep work. This is deep work. And whether or you get the skill training, but the subjects are very deep, deep. It's deep work, even though it may not seem like listening, for example, which we do month 3. It's very important, even though that subject seems like, well, what does that even mean? It's it's very deep work there because really, like you were saying, it's listening to yourself first and foremost. So you have people there that are there on professional levels, which it changes your practice, changes your session style. You have people there that are on personal reasons, combination of both, because if you have a professional practice, you're always going to have a personal practice. Some people go through it thinking they start in personal reasons for personal reasons, and they end up doing professional sessions at the end. That's happened more than a couple of times, but
both of
not.
us.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Not everybody, not everybody. Some people are only interested in it for personal reasons. Some people are just say yes. And they have no idea where it's leading them. But like you said, there's that call, and they're like, I just am saying yes, I'm drawn to this, and I want to take this course, or I'm going to take this course. And then other people, like you were saying, have had experiences within the Reiki energy, whether that's when you're a beginner and you have taken a Reiki 1 and 2 class, or whether that is that you are a seasoned professional or a seasoned Reiki master if you're not professional, and you have experiences in within the Reiki energy and you want more. One of the things that we hear all the time, I've taken Reiki classes, now what? I want more of those experiences because they can be profound. Or maybe you have had experiences in your life where you have a natural aptitude towards these, spiritual ways. Maybe even you have are an extreme empath, and or maybe you see, you know, spirits through the veil type thing. All of those things that you might have this natural aptitude for, that training can help you manage. Or maybe you're on the opposite end of it where you have a very analytical mind, you think very linear, and you think that you may not be capable of intuition because of that, that's a gift for people in the other category that I just mentioned. And if you're listening to this, I'm raising my hand because I thought that. Um, and to know that actually you can train to be able to learn these skills because it's within all of us. We just have to learn how it works for each of us. Or maybe you listen to our distance Reiki shares, and you think, I want to learn how to do channeled meditations because it's the same skill. Or I just simply want to spend more time in this community, more time in the Reiki energy, and you're called to it for those, excuse me, for those reasons. So, all of those are already the students that we have and why they're here. And what's really neat too is that we have students definitely across the country, but also across the world. We have them in different hemispheres, different continents. And that's a really neat part of it too, because you do feel so connected. When we get together at the Sedona Reiki retreat, it does feel like we're friends. We can sit at the tables and just chat with each other like we've met and known each other for a long time. And so that's a really neat aspect of it too. So there's all different reasons why people might be called to go into training. We also have people that are very trained in shamanism. We've had people that, have taken years of shamanism and want additional training or want this lens of training. Maybe they've been also in Reiki energy and they want to see how the Reiki energy does this work as well. So, or if you're interested in uh, shamanism shamanic tools. It is a different training than shamanism. However, it is a part of how Reiki does that kind of same work. And so that's another piece of it. In level 2, we learn the spirit reveal technique, which is a session technique that Colleen and I developed, as we said. And the neat thing about that is that we do have people who are professionals in that, but we also have people that have no interest in being professionals, and they still enjoy learning how to do that work and journey for others because you learn so much. It's so expansive, it's so deep, it can be really fun because you do learn such a different perspective on the answers because it's a different person with different life experiences. It's a lens that's not our own. And we continue to learn tools, ancestral history, past lives, which is what our webinar is about, by the way. I know I said that at the beginning, but just a reminder that we will be going into past life healing, which can be huge work. And sometimes if we're feeling stuck and we don't know what the answer to why that is, we've done a lot of different things, and it could be that there's something in our past lives that is affecting that. And going into that healing, but also the empowerment in our past lives can be really helpful for that momentum forward. So just a reminder that that's what our webinar will be about. But in level 2, we learn that advanced session technique called the spirit reveal technique. And that is how Colleen and I do sessions. Danny, who is a practitioner here at Reiki Lifestyle, how she does sessions, and anybody that's gone through Next Step through the 3 years. And then in level 3, we learn how to channel that out loud, which is level 3 is such an interesting level because we have so many people that go through it and like, I'm not sure if I'm getting this. Everybody else is getting this. I don't know if I'm getting this. It's definitely
You're
a part of,
making it all up.
am I making it all up? Huge one. Huge
Yeah.
part of the process. And then level 3, it just clicks. And that's how you learn how to channel it out loud. And that's how Colleen and I channel our guided journeys. It's how we channel our meditations, of course, our sessions. It's how we can go into that channeling kind of in our daily life. It's how we channel in sessions. And even that question, Colleen and I were talking, as she said, that's not everybody's reason. That was my reason. That was looking back. That was my question that I needed to answer that took me on, like you said, it's still ongoing, but a very years long journey of healing and revealing and empowerment that that question spurred. That was a question for me, and that was a channeled question. And I wasn't laying on the table. I can tell you the exact position we were sitting in, everything that was around us. We were in the room. I can tell you we were talking. It was a part of the session, but we were talking, and that was a channeled question. So, how you can just channel those things in your daily life, in sessions, in classes, all of those kinds of things. We do mediumship in level 3, which is a huge question for people. We spend a couple of months on that so we can learn more about those. Maybe you have an aptitude or a gift to it, or maybe you don't and think that it would never be possible for you, but it's such an important skill in how to learn and know what to do with it if it does come through. And I will say that mediumship is so different than what we think because it's all mediumship. Channeling is all mediumship, not in exactly how we think of it on TV, when we use that term. And that's something that we learn in level 3 as well. So there's a lot of different tools that we learn throughout the 3 years, and I know channeling out loud is a really big interest in people. We see that a lot on social media. How do you do that? Colleen and I do that a lot, but how do you learn that skill? The good thing is that it's all a skill that you can learn. If you have the natural aptitude to it, it's all a skill that you can learn how to manage those things, manage your empathy, manage your gifts and talents. So both things are true.
Well, and also, so often people aren't even aware that they are curious about those skills. And again, it's that inner tapping that keeps people following a path, not necessarily knowing how to find it or what it is. I'm always fascinated by how many people come to a Reiki class that have just heard the word Reiki once and they haven't had any other experience with it, but then they show up and want to learn it. Or maybe they've had some sessions or something has happened that guide people to Reiki as a practice. And sometimes what has happened has been, that guides people to Reiki is personal uh, healing that is needed, either physical, emotional, mental, spiritual healing that's needed that leads to a path like Reiki. What I've discovered through it all is the bottom piece of it is how do you hear yourself at the deepest levels of you? And so many of us through life experience have had the ability to hear ourselves either underdeveloped, sometimes it's been actively um, diminished or suppressed. Sometimes people have, you know, lost their ability to even know what they think within themselves for all different reasons. So, what happens with all of this is that's what even though we're learning the Reiki journey techniques as the tool to get there, that's what I see as foundational in level 1 in the Reiki journey techniques. It's, we originally titled it Discover Your Next Step because it is about personal discovery and unlearning a lot of that um, expectation of the outside authority telling you what to do, how to do it, what to think, what to believe, what to know, into the ability to discover your own intuition style, for instance. That's probably at the core of all of it. We have, your imagination, your authentic intellect has your imagination, it has your instincts, your intuition, the ways that you think from the logical to the gut level to the heart level. And so what happens is really starting immediately on self-discovery of your own intuition style. And a lot of people think, well, they don't have intuition if they're not clairvoyant, for instance. One of the big ones that we see that actually we coined the term clair intellect because so many people think their intuition. It comes to them in words through their mind. And so it can be difficult initially to understand, well, is this just me saying these words to myself? Or is this actually my intuition coming through my words to myself? Another one is sometimes feeling. I had a session this morning, and I'm not typically, I can't remember the title of the the clair sense that's the feeling, Here it is, clairsentience. Um, but man, I had that today in a session where the session for the person was all in their belly, and the energy that was being released was in their belly. And I mean to tell you, my belly went blah 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 blah, and just on and on and on. And so that is another intuition style, experiencing or intuiting what's happening for them by how I felt it, which is not a common intuition style for me. But people have different intuition styles, really understanding what that means and what that is. We've gone in depth in that discussion, not only in the next step classes, but in our distance Reiki share. We will have posted one recently on our YouTube channel about the clair senses to help people start to understand that your clair senses are unique to you. They are going to be, even if, let's say, because I'm very clairvoyant, for instance, but the way my clairvoyance works is it's very metaphorical. Like I don't see it in exactly. So let's say I am seeing a white horse and actually it is a black horse. Something shows me metaphorically through imagery what it is that's happening in the Reiki session, in the Reiki journey will come through me in metaphysical imagery. And so when I first started journeying and I could see the imagery, but I didn't know what it meant. So I also had to have the clear intellect to come in and help me understand what actually I was seeing and how do I observe it and understand it at the same time. Some people's intuition is clairtangency, which is touching. So, you see people who pick things up and they can experience their intuition through touch, or they touch a person and experience it through touch. Sometimes people have it through tasting. But anyway, more than anything, is not only knowing which one is your primary clair sense, but then how do you develop it so that you can understand it and know what it is. And that is very foundational. And then again, not only is it useful in these techniques, and Reiki energy helps you um, clarify it, understand it, and develop it, but it actually, again, applies in a daily life. In your daily life, it is very beneficial to have your intuition activated so that you can hear yourself. And so that's a big piece of that level one, is going through those Reiki journey techniques, the skill development, access to your own inner consciousness, your own inner truth, your own inner authority, which ultimately then develops self-trust. So how do you get to where you can trust your intuition, your ability to perceive beyond the ordinary? How do you get to know? One of the number one questions is always, am I making this up? And that's ongoing. I can still think that. I mean, my recent journeys about mycelium, carrying the answers that we need in the world right now, that was something I knew nothing about. And so in the middle of that journey, as the mycelium is coming up and telling me all these things, I was totally questioning. Wait a minute, I don't have any idea what this is. And then after the fact, I was able to go and look that up through Robin. I told Robin about it, and she told me about the Netflix show of Fantastic Fungi. And everything that happened in my journey was, and that was a session, by the way, that wasn't just a personal journey, it was a session.
Someone else. That's what I was saying about journeys for other people.
It's like, yeah,
Right.
take you way out your belief system.
Mhm.
I mean, I didn't even know to think about that, and it showed up. And then everything in the Netflix thing on the fantastic fungi and talking about how it's, this incredibly successful organism on the planet and the network and how everything's made of this networking and on and on and on. So what that did though is take me in an exploration of the subject that not only did I experience it directly in the journey, but now it took me to another level of research because that's what else this is. This is spiritual research. So then it takes it to the real life. Okay, I can look up mycelium online. I can learn more about it on ChatGPT. I can watch a Netflix thing on it. And then when I was talking to Don McMahon on the phone, and he's this almost expert in mycelium, and he was telling me everything as I was sharing with him. He went into the whole subject. So anyway, I go off topic, but that's what happens.
But
It's
it's
not
the
really
thing.
off topic. Yeah.
No, it's not, because that's the thing about it. That's like what we're saying.
Yeah, the mysteries that,
Yeah.
the
Well, and
curiosity.
yes, for spiritually curious, I know that's another thing. Like people that have gone through an awakening, for example, we have this, but where do you get the support for when that has happened? Like where do you get that continuation of that discovery around this? Because it's one thing to have that, maybe it's an event, maybe it's a little bit longer than just an event, but maybe, it's a certain time frame around it. Where do you have the longer term exploration around that specific thing that happened for you, right? And that's huge, because we don't always know where to turn for that. We don't always know where to go for that, with it. And it's not always, you want to make sure you're in a community, in a place where you can explore the answers, like you've been saying, Colleen, the answers to your questions, and explore that further. And that's a really huge place for this. And the because we've definitely had people in our classes that have like, I've never taken a training like this. I really think this is a very unique training, and people who have been in a lot of different trainings around it. I also think too that the times when, because like you have said multiple times, that this is a place too that we really also can apply it very practical to your life. And that's the other thing, is that it goes into the big questions, but it also goes into your daily questions. And having gone through this training, I don't remember where we talked about this recently, when things have been really difficult personally, when I've been really sick, when I have had, also we all have life stuff. We have really hard life stuff. I have been so grateful for this time and this space to be able to come in, heal, explore. It can be, the other good thing about this is it's not always easy. It can be uncomfortable. It can be, the healing work can be hard that happens through these classes, but the actual tools to be able to go into those spaces aren't necessarily super hard. And I kind of want you to talk about your perspective on that belief system, Colleen, because I think it's also an important um, teaching, and one that you talk about often enough, of belief and hard work and all of that with it. But and through, and I know I've talked about this a lot, but through that time frame when I was really, really sick, and so sick, I was, I could barely get off the couch, and I was still able to work. Thank goodness. I'm so grateful for that. But work was about as much as I could do. And, I had a toddler. It was a really hard time period that I know so many people can relate to as a part of the reason that I talk about it. And at the time, I didn't talk about it a whole lot because, all the reasons. But I was really sick, and I was so grateful to have these tools to help me navigate through that. Right now, I'm navigating a hard situation personally where, my father-in-law is at the end of life. And I'm so grateful to have these tools, to have this space dedicated for some time for me to help have the Reiki energy help me navigate both of those situations where I can where I can go into the healing that I need, even if it's not particularly healing either my health issues, or it's not, healing my father-in-law in the ways that we would hope it would. It's not doing that, but I have a time and a space dedicated to being able to help me navigate those situations. And I can tell you, having gone through some of those things without Reiki and some of those things with Reiki, the with Reiki aspect is such a deeper teaching because you get to explore it from this higher state of consciousness. And it's not to say I'm in those states of consciousness 100% of the time in my daily life. I'm a human being with duality. But at the same time, I at least get to be there for a certain amount of time and just allow the Reiki energy to hold me through those navigations. And then when we are in those beautiful time frames where things in our life might feel easy, where we might be in this incredible level of that awe-inspiring expansion in our spiritual practices, where we might be in a lot of joy, you also get to explore through those time frames as well, and that can give you an entirely different perspective than the hard times, and you learn so much in that time frame too. But your answers and your questions might be a little bit different. But I know from personal experience that if you're going through a time frame that that it can be challenging, can be really helpful to have this as well, to just be in your own healing, be in your own, be in this kind of circle that has support as well. And so that to me was always a huge aspect of it because I did go through that even as a teacher of it. We're still doing the work, right? We're still going through it every single month, every single class. And that's huge.
Well, I think the idea of the hard work and kind
Yes.
of that, clarification of the expectations that we can have going into something, a healing modality or a healing energy like Reiki is, and, I certainly know I actually didn't believe in Reiki because I knew it was given to me and I didn't really believe in that possibility. And so I procrastinated receiving Reiki for a long time. And even after my horse, who was the one who instructed me to receive Reiki, because of that belief that it was easy, I just I didn't believe in it until after I received it. And so what you said is it doesn't always prevent life from being hard or doesn't fix the hard things we go through because we are here in on the earth in this place of duality. And hard things are a part of all life experience, I think, here. And so um, what I understood that Robin, you touched on is that the tools that we use with Reiki and the Reiki energy are all very easy to use, very easy to access. And Reiki energy, I think, is very specifically trying to teach us that it doesn't have to be hard. And that part of that is a belief system that that we have, I certainly had it, that anything that I wanted and that had value had to be hard work. So the Reiki energy itself is so helpful, and when life is hard, when life isn't hard, the Reiki energy is very solution oriented. It activates solutions because your mind now has elevated into a next level of thinking, and you're now aligning with that perception triad where you are able to listen to your gut, you're able to listen to your heart and listen to your head, putting it all together in that resourcefulness, creativity, innovation, healthy decision making, the very real life things that we need. And then also the spiritual exploration of it. What's the cause behind it? How do we get to that? How do we get to, so many times people come to Reiki after years of pursuing wellness through a lot of traditional methods, which we completely support, by the way, because Reiki is to complement those methods. But a lot of times people really already know what's going on for them, and they just need to have the energy healed. They need the restoration that the energy brings in for them. And they are really interested in going deeper with all of those subjects for self. And then, it is so fascinating to be in a community of people. We call each class our divinely ordered circle, and each circle that comes together and the different things that each of us is utilizing these abilities for, and then the resourcefulness and the solutions that come through with it. And so the Reiki energy, even though, you can be in a hard time, even though you are maybe not feeling like you are in a higher thought or higher consciousness, or you may not be feeling like you have a clarity of mind, the Reiki energy actually comes in and has this ability to assist us highlight within us those innate skills and inner knowing that we have so that we can apply it to our daily life. And then, as Robin said, when you're in this really creative state, how do you get into it deeper? And so, for instance, right now, I'm kind of in a balance of the hard things and the creative. I've got both things are happening at the same time. And so, how I use Reiki energy for the hard things and navigating through, the stability that I know is important for me to hold right now, how Reiki energy helps me that way. But I'm also in this compelling time right now to write. Like, I just wake up in the morning and think, I need to write. And I have all these constant ideas that are coming in. Well, I'm navigating between, I feel like right now I could sit here for 10 hours a day, which some days I do. Um, I could navigate through that wanting to spend all this creative time and then balancing it with the other things that are going on in my world. Of course, for Robin, when, I've known her father-in-law for 25 years too. And so, I'm deeply involved in the family and everything that is going on in that, through his care and the love around him and all the hard things that go with that. Um, and so the Reiki energy also can help understand how to manage it all. I call it a life management tool. So where is my intuition with what's going on? Um, where is the action that is going on? Where's the decision making? Where's the just plain stand still, be stable, be kind? Okay, now is a good time to go right. Now is a good time for this. And so it's also, I would say, being able to navigate through the intuition, the instincts, that perception triad activated. And again, that's so much of what we are really focusing on in level one, and developing those skills. And then the other part want to make sure we talk about, because it's part of the fun, is the Explore the 12 Heavens class. That the 12 heavens are, there's a lot to say about the 12 heavens. I started to say are, and then it's like, well, they are so, like, there's so much to them. They're
Yeah,
so fascinating.
it's so fun. It's a
So,
little different, real quick, I just wanna add,
yeah,
but then I
do.
want you to keep going because the 12 heavens where the next step is it's the next step is more of a skill-based training, but we still do so much exploration in it. But it is like how to learn specific tools and techniques. And the 12 Heavens class is an exploration class. So we're using Reiki journey techniques and we're exploring the different levels of consciousness. They're just, they're a different philosophy understanding around what the two courses are. So I just want to say that, but keep going, Colleen, because yeah, they're so good.
Well, the 12 heavens class, I can't even remember really how that came in. So, again,
Yeah.
we truly use these techniques and listen to their instruction. And so the 12 Heavens class came through, first of all, in that 6-month course. And we were studying two a month for 6 months. And then it was like, oh, this is too good. We need to know, now we're going to spread it out to one per month. And now we're heading into our 4th year of teaching it. It's just so amazing to understand. So let's start with the concept of the first heaven. The earth is the first heaven. The earth is a heaven, but it's a dual realm. So really having that concept of the duality, that our souls, for whatever reason, our soul decided that we were going to incarnate on the earth. We are incarnating and having a human experience in a dual realm. So we have dual consciousness, meaning that we can have higher and lower frequencies of thought, and existence here has higher and lower levels of existences and behaviors. And because it's a realm of also human free will, we get to choose where we are going to be in our way of being and thinking and living. So for me, there's always the skill of, how do I elevate in this dual realm to live my life in a more um, stable way, happier, skilled, to feel like I have the skills I need. It doesn't mean that chaos doesn't happen. It doesn't mean like suddenly I'm seeing all the clutter in my house, which is minor chaos. I get it, that's in the gist of chaos. And yeah, never mind. I'm going to keep going on that one, because right now there's so much chaos in the world that people are experiencing. Um, but how do you manage the events of living in this realm of duality? And then the second heaven is a spiritual realm that is like the earth, but it is also a dual realm, but it's non-physical. or what we think of as non-physical. When I am engaging in some of the second heaven beings that exist there, they're like, well, they're physical to them, but they're non-physical to us. And so there are spiritual beings, non-physical beings in the second heaven that are highly conscious, incredibly, helpful to humanity and the earth itself. And then we know there's lower frequencies of non-spiritual beings too. Then when we reach the third heaven and beyond, now we go into the enlightened realms where they are non-dual. So there is not the opposition or the opposite. So in the third heaven, there's only love. There's only gratitude. There's only, enlightened beings that you meet there. The Reiki energy is always coming from third heaven or beyond. We were also told that there's more than 12 heavens of consciousness, but that we would just start with the first 12, that's plenty to explore for now. And then as you go into each of these levels, which are not hierarchical, by the way, they're not better than, they are just different levels. What we discovered in the exploration of the 12 heavens is that that is the consciousness we are made of. We have everything from the duality within to the non-duality within us. We have an enlightened self within us. Also, the earth is made of it. So we also have the earth that is, this beautiful realm, and the 12 heavens are here. So the duality, and then there is also the place of non-duality. So for instance, the beauty of a sunset, the non-duality of, some of the other existences here on the planet. So everything exists here on the earth. And then I never know quite what to call it, but I think of the spiritual realms out beyond the earth that exist, the creation realms. So the heavens, as we go into those, they all exist there too. And so what we're learning to do by exploring them is to explore, and we use the Reiki journey techniques for that exploration. What we have seen is originally we really thought of it as an exploration out of curiosity and wanting to know more. But now what we're seeing is results, that we are really seeing that people in the classes have incredible healing results and empowerment results, that there's an inner knowing that wakes up because those energies are being activated within as we access them. So the other thing that we're seeing with it is that because we are consciously accessing these realms of consciousness and these spiritual realms and the spiritual beings that exist in those realms, we are also providing a level of communication into those realms with the understanding that we are ready for the questions that we can receive from those realms and the answers to those questions. And so we're seeing them show up in our sessions with the energies of them. We're also seeing a lot of awareness of soul groups that may have incarnated on the earth from these different levels of heavens before they are coming into the earth. And we've known about that for years, but this is giving it a kind of an ability to understand it at another level. So, for instance, we can know people who incarnate here from the fifth heaven of consciousness, for instance. So, or they may have come in from the seventh heaven of consciousness, or even two of them that I know are here and have passed now back into the 11th heaven. And so that's all starting to show up too. More than anything was the discovery that there's a lot of commonalities that we can have that we share in the sharing time of the class, like what we experienced, which is incredibly fascinating, but also how unique the perceptions of each heaven is, because just like Reiki, it takes us to our own inner truth. What is that for you? So one person might think of it as like a heavenly divine realm. Another person might think of it as a realm of consciousness. Another person might be taken into what they think of as dimensions. And so there's not you have to think about it this way, or we're going to tell you this is what this heaven is about. It's truly about exploration. While you're in that exploration, you're also exploring who you are in each of those realms. And so you get to explore you get to observe you and feel you in each of those realms. And then we also are working with meeting your spirit guides in each of those realms and gaining a much deeper understanding of the spirit guides that you currently are working with, but then also some of the other ones that show up along the way, and how you dialogue with them to, again, a lot of it comes in with what are your questions, and discovering that you even have them. Because a lot of times I know for myself, when I started in spiritual curiosity, I knew I was curious, but I didn't know the questions I had. I didn't even know the questions to think about to ask. And so that's the other thing that helps with. And then as we are asking those questions, we're also communicating into these realms, that we are elevating into the realms and our ability to activate those levels of consciousness within, but also be able to receive from those dimensions, from those realms, and the spirit guides that are there.
Yeah. And the thing too that we do, and I think we'll go ahead and get into the kind of like very linear aspect of the
Yeah.
courses, but the thing that we do is we do guided journeys, we do automatic writing, so there's a lot of those things. If you're like, I don't know if I can do any of that, we also ask what's your next step so that it can be used practically. Sometimes that goes into the higher levels of consciousness work, but a lot of times that is like, well, how do we apply this to our daily life? Because that is so much of what matters around this work. So there's a lot of those kinds of things that are a step by step process with it all. And so you can just show up and we can for sure take you through um through it all. And some people aren't intimidated by that because they've already had other training that they know how to do some of these kinds of um you know uh tools and techniques, but a lot of people come in as very new people. And so just know that you were supported through both processes with um regardless of where you're at. So,
Yeah, we have everybody, even though we think of them as advanced Reiki techniques, um, it you can learn them as a beginner as well as advanced. So it isn't based on coming in with what you already know, although that, of course, is integrated into it, and obviously you are going to still, work with what you know, and this merges with that and works together with it. Um, but for instance, a brand new beginner can access these realms of consciousness and these skills, as well as an advanced person in some of these skills. And it's occurring to me to just share a little bit about journey, the journey style. So, my original training was in shamanism, and of course, that is a tremendous practice of journeys. That's part of what we do is, we do shamanic journeys to meet our spirit guides and access the spiritual realms of lower world, middle world, upper world, and the spiritual beings in them. And then the energies that we're working with there, we have specific tools and techniques to do the healing work and the empowerment work. So, as I was always working with Reiki, what I discovered with journeying is that I didn't really love the drums and rattles as much. So, we could be in classes where there would be 30 people drumming and, having sound sensitivity at that level. Um, wasn't, I mean, it works, it's great, and many people love it. I'm not doing a better than. I'm just doing like it's not a better than, but for me, the using Reiki energy to journey was just another match for me. So I can still use the drums, I can still use the rattles, and on a personal level to access that journey state. But what I really like using is the Reiki energy. And so particularly the Reiki distance symbol, the Usui distance symbol, the is a bridge of light. And so we use that bridge of light to access these realms. And for instance, we can be in the journey and we begin in our first heaven space where we are right now in this moment, where you are right now, and we begin in that space. We activate that bridge of light and cross over that bridge of light with the assistance of our spiritual guides and teachers that are there with us. And we can access any of these same realms or different realms. In our case, we cross over the bridge often to go to the third heaven. And in that third heaven, what we've discovered is we've done what I would say it's a little bit of mapping. So, we have an awareness of the river of life is there, the tree of life is there, the field of possibilities are there for those of you that have experienced some of the holy fire experiences, like the ocean of holy love is in that third heaven. Um, we have infinite realms, really, the hall of the ancestors, the reflection pool is there. So we also elevate into the next heavens using that same technique. So we can actually use that bridge of light as the method, our journey method. So in shamanism, where you might say go to the lower world by going down a tree route through the method of drumming and rattling to activate your brain waves, in this case, we use the bridge of light and we are accessing these realms of energy, whatever it is that you end up perceiving them as for you, but what we call the third heaven. And we do our healing work there. And then we also do the empowerment work there. So in every single class, and because it's true in your Reiki sessions, there is always that aspect of what needs to be let go of today. What needs to be healed? What cords and connectors need to be released from you? What injuries that have and are causing you pain or injury now needs to be released. Well, then in that journey, we may follow pathways to another location in that third heaven realm where we're going to receive and fill back up with your gifts, with your talents, with your abilities, the innate ones, the soul ones that you brought with you, and then also the ones that you have within you here. And sometimes they're coming in from the gifts of your ancestors and the talents of your ancestors. So there's always that level of healing and then revealing your inner truth, revealing your wholeness, filling you back up and rejuvenating with the internal vitality and life force and light force that Reiki provides. And then we bring it back. We come back over the bridge, and we go over the bridge and come back into, where we are. And we ask questions in both places. So we're getting the answers from these higher levels of consciousness and then bring it back into the first heaven awareness of what's my next step. And we do automatic writing, as Robin said, where we're actually, using automatic writing as a channeling method. Anyone who doesn't love automatic writing, it's not a requirement. It's just another tool in your tool bag. But we like to teach that tool because we find that it starts that channeling process of just let your pen go to the paper and write without evaluating it. So anyway, we have lots and lots of skill building. I know, Robin, that we are.
Hmm?
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying we need to probably get to the details because we do
Yeah,
need to
let's get
go
to
ahead
the
and
details.
wrap up. Yeah. So the details, I've been making sure I have them correct. We have the free webinar. You don't need to be there live. If you register for it, you will get the replay. That's November 20th at 10 a.m. The good thing about being live is if you have any questions, we'll have some time for question and answer. The topic of the free webinar is Reiki for past life healing. It's a workshop to reveal your past lives of mastery and deep transformation. So the registration link for that is in the description. Then the how the registration will work for next step or there is an option to bundle them as well for a discount. How the registration will work is registration opens on November 20th and with the webinar. And so you can go and register starting that date. We do have an early bird period where you are able to register for a free early bird gift, which is actually pretty amazing. Early bird registration is from November 20th to December 16th. That early bird gift is about a 25-page little booklet that has multiple guided meditations in it or guided Reiki journeys in it that go through different healing techniques. So you can use them for clients, you can use them for selves. You get the booklet with the written scripts and a little bit about what the topic is and why it's a healing topic or a topic that you can use for healing work. You also get the recording of those meditations. So you can use them for yourself, you can use them for classes, you can use them for clients, however that looks. After the 16th, the registration is still open until basically class. Um, and so you can still, you just, aren't part of that early bird time frame where you get the booklet. Let me just see really quick where what day all registration closes is January 12th. So it's Sunday, January 12th. Then classes start the 15th and 16th of January. So getting back to that, level 1 this year will be on Wednesday mornings from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. Level 2 will be on Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Level 3 is Wednesdays in the afternoon. Level 2 and level 3 have the prerequisites. So you have to take the classes before them. So in order to do level 2, you have to take level 1, etc. Explore the 12th Heavens will be on Thursdays from 1 to 4:30 p.m. Pacific. So if you want to do level 1, it's Wednesday mornings, 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Pacific. If you want to do Explore the 12 Heavens, it's Thursday afternoons from 1 to 4:30 Pacific. All of this is going to be outlined. So you can go to reikilifestyle.com. It's going to give you all the information that you need. We also have in, uh, on our like landing page, the different modules, what you'll learn in each module. You can do it self-study. If there's certain months that you can't make it, that's okay. That happens. We're pretty casual about that part of it. We do recordings that are great so you can catch up on all of the information. So go to reikilifestyle.com if you want more information about the actual classes. We have early bird, we have bundling deals. So if you want to take level 1 and explore the 12 heavens, for example, you get a discount. Also, there's a pay in full discount. So there's things like that that are pretty normal when it comes to like online courses that you can kind of look at and expect. And so again, go to reikilifestyle.com and then it's under the advanced training tab for that. And you can find more information on Next Step and Explore the 12 Heavens. If you have any questions, email us. Colleen at reikilifestyle.com, Robin at reikilifestyle.com. Get a hold of us for sure. And we're always happy to answer any questions for you. I think I got all the technical pieces. It's going to be in the description. I know it's hard to track. It's going to be on the website, so you can go there and take a look at it all. You're muted.
We'll be doing social media with it.
Yeah.
And also join us at our distance Reiki shares if you're curious, or maybe you're already with us on our distance Reiki shares. Those are every Tuesday morning from 9:30 to 11 a.m. They're free. They are online. They're open to all. And we do Reiki journeys in almost every week. We also talk about other topics, and it's an amazing community of people. So we'll keep talking about some of this stuff. That one is more, just about that week and the things that we talk about and share. But, we make sure that we make it easy for people to find us. And that's why we're even doing this podcast, because people have questions and trying to make it easy for you to kind of get an idea of it. We thought we had a whole outline, but I think we went off our outline a lot, which is okay because I think we just talk naturally. But anyway, join us. And again, if you have questions, check in with us.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. And Colleen, it's always channeled. So yeah, we go off outline pretty much all the time. So um,
Afterwards, it's always like, what did I say?
yeah, I know, right? But
Yeah,
that's kind of the beauty of it too.
yeah,
So
loving
all
it.
right. Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
everybody.
everybody. Lots of love.
Bye.